few episodes ago, we talked about responsibility. One of the more important aspects of responsibility that we do not go into much is integrity, the ability to follow a moral and ethical code on a personal level. A lack of integrity has led to many problems that we see in the world today, and I can personally vouch for this. I also sometimes have problems trying to follow and have integrity myself. So there's a couple of questions to ask here. So the first one is, what do you actually see in today's society that is evidence of a lack of integrity in people?
Right, son. So, we're going to answer that particular question. Let me ask you, what, in your own words, what do you believe or what do you think is integrity?
To me, integrity is to follow a moral and ethical code, to actually have I don't want to say responsibility, but it's kind of like a responsibility. It's more of an obligation to do what is right, to know what is right, and to actually follow and do it.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty close right there. I'll give you the dictionary. It says the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, moral uprightness. Oh, that's a book one, right? I've heard few of the other versions, like for example, do the right thing when no one is looking.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
good one too. Now, me personally, I think that it's doesn't do very much, really. These, these explanations or definitions, because at the end, it's kind of like just really, just the words. Knowing and doing, that's the two different things, right?
Right, yeah.
Yes. A lot of people, they know right thing from the wrong, but they choose to do wrong for their personal reasons. Or does it make them, well, yeah, you are the man of integrity? Well, you know it, so, right? Or
Right.
you sometimes do it, sometimes when it's comfortable or when it's good or whatever, something in your life. But otherwise you don't do it, well, does that make that person man of integrity or the woman of integrity? I would say no, right?
Right.
Okay. So it's actually doing the right thing. Do the right thing. And we can use, what's the right thing? We can, use the seven virtues. Most of us know what the seven, deadly sins, or what is seven actually bad things you can do in your life. The envy, gluttony, greed, lust, pride,
Yeah.
so on. But what are actually the good things to do? The honesty, it's kind of is important, but honesty about what, right? Honesty about what? Because person is, says, like, okay, hey, you are pretty fat, you should lose the weight. Well, when a person says that, doesn't make that person man of integrity. No, I would say no. That's so therefore you got to apply the Christian principles at the end. AI, robot, and or I don't know, Siri or whatever, they tell you the truth too, right?
Right.
any of this, but doesn't doesn't give them any integrity. So the
Well, to be fair,
kindness.
they can't
Okay,
really act out
so
anything.
you got 7 virtues, right? 7 heavenly virtues, which is the kindness.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice to the other people. Temperance, right? Means use or enjoy your life in moderation.
Mm-hmm.
Charity, that's the easy one, right?
Right.
Share.
Yeah.
Not just to share the excesses in the life. Share everything. Even when if you have very poor life, you still got something to share. Chastity, that's the hardest one. Chastity. If I could summarize it, just refraining from anything considering the sex, either physical or even a visual, anything which is extramarital, is outside of the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Humility, that is a big one too.
Yeah.
Because the opposite of humility is the pride. Now we hear
Right.
the
Yeah.
pride all the time, left and right, up and down,
Yeah,
everywhere.
we
Life.
celebrate it even like a whole dedicated month to it, right?
Exactly. That
Yeah.
it's celebrating, a very sinful thing, which
Uh-huh.
is the opposite of integrity, which is completely outside of integrity. How can person can be a person of integrity with strong moral principles as celebrating the pride, right? Which pride is all about me, 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 me.
Right.
We got even the Me Too movement, right? That's that's even more specifies exactly what's the pride about.
Well, I
So
mean,
humility, yeah, humility, uh, diligence, which is persistence. It's putting the effort in a work, in a school, or whatever it is. Even the things don't go very well, when the things goes completely south, right? Be persistent. Or when the things go great, the person's like, well, okay, I'm just going to take the break. I'm just going to take vacation or whatever. Even though the person knows, like, well, I should not. Well, diligence is important, persistent. You got to keep doing what you're supposed to do. What are you supposed to do? When you're not supposed to do, then okay. But if you're supposed to do something, hey, diligence should command you. Hey, you continue. And the patience, that's another one nowadays, today. How many people have the patience,
right.
right? Patience not just with the things which I want in my life, I want to have, but also patience with the other people. Many people, say many times on both sides of the political spectrum, left or right, well, yeah, we should get rid of these people. We should get rid of them. They will never understand. They will never get it. They will never be on our side. Well, is that a right attitude? Not really,
Not
right?
really. No,
Not
it's
really.
kind of like
We,
almost
we
like
gotta have
throwing a towel in.
yeah, exactly. So we gotta have patience with the other people as well as we have to have patience with ourselves. Many times we get frustrated about our lives. That is why so many people nowadays commit suicide. They are just so impatient with their lives. As part of the patience is acceptance. There is some things we can change. There are also some things we can't.
Right.
So
Yeah.
summarize it. Integrity. It's all these things. Not just being, just be honest. Having strong moral principles. Because that's just okay. That's kind of like a cover, all right. A name on a box. But what is inside a box? That is what is important. So we gotta know those virtues. We gotta understand them. We gotta do it. Then that when no one is looking is very important, right? At this
Right.
point. Yeah. Now, Some people would ask, well, why? Why we have to do that? I can still live my life without being kind, with the pride, without patience towards the others, without being humble. I can still do that. And diligence, well, I can be a little bit sloth. I'd probably, yeah, possibly.
Well, I would
But
say that,
mhm,
oh, sorry. Well, I was
mhm,
gonna say, this is kind of that part about doing something without somebody always looking, right?
mhm,
Like some of these things you're doing just because it is the right thing to do, and no one's gonna tell you that that is
mhm.
the right thing to do. You just have to know it and do it yourself.
Yeah, but
Um,
again, important, you know, answer which we all of us need to know. It's why, or for the question why. We don't know why we're doing all these things because they are all very hard. Being kind, faith in life, moderation, be charitable, sharing the others, practice chastity, be humble, be diligent at our work, and be patient. That's pretty hard. Just to saying that
right.
without actually explaining people why, uh, well, most of us will not do it. Because I'll be honest, even I will explain later on why it's still all of us, I don't say most of us, all of us will fail most of the time. Because it's very, very hard. So that's explain why it's important too.
Well, it's more of
And
a, I think a question for you, but
mhm, okay, so
if well, just one
mhm,
last thing, if I could say, what I believe to be the reason why is because the opposite is a sin. It is
okay,
objectively wrong, and at the end of the day, we're all going to be judged for our actions. We're all going to be judged on these sins that we've committed, and so no one else might see it but ourselves, but there is obviously God who sees this,
mhm,
right? And he will
okay,
judge us for that.
that is the most important reason why. 100% agree. However, you have to be able to explain this to the people who don't have the faith. Okay?
Right.
And even the people who have the faith, when things comes to a point when the life is very hard or is pretty much at that point of, if I gonna be honest, I gonna hurt myself, hurt my life, or even hurt people around me, so I gonna be cheating a little bit. Well, at that point, even the faithful person probably gonna fail as well. Have to know why, because there are repercussions both, most importantly in heaven, right, in the afterlife, but also here on the earth. Okay, so to say why is because at the end it will kill. If we're not gonna follow in, the right things in our life, if we're not gonna do right things in our life, it will not only kill our very souls, ourselves inside, but it will kill the entire society slowly.
Right.
You heard about the saying, the Chinese death by the thousand cuts?
Uh,
Maybe
not
not.
not not
Yeah.
really. No. Do
Yeah.
you mind
Well, that was
explaining
the
it?
Chinese form of execution a long time ago. So
Oh,
instead, when they were executing a person, instead just killing one with one blow or with certain instrument with just one swift
like
movement.
like slowly make them bleed out, basically.
Yeah, with the small cuts, right? Little tiny cuts. And that is kind of what the lack of integrity in a country, what it does. people will slowly bleed themselves as a society to the death. Uh, in communism, or in socialist countries, you know very well, right? The people are living very lives. I mean, like, considering the virtues, right? Absolutely zero virtues. I mean, they talked about it. You can even see in those movies about, from some communist countries, or documentaries, they had those posters everywhere on the walls, in offices, buildings, and so on. Do this for the country,
Right.
be hard worker, and so on. Well, nobody was following it. None. And that is almost, to me, it's almost like the sign that there is something wrong. If the government has to put those posters everywhere, right? Be honest, be hard worker, be nice to the other people, be charitable, and all these things. If they had to put it on the walls everywhere, that means that nobody's doing it at that point. At the end, it's just a pretending.
Right.
Because nobody, unfortunately, that's how it works. It's almost like a pretending. Well, if we don't do it, if we cannot do it, at least we're going to pretend that we are doing it.
Right. It's
Yeah.
kind of like how you have to always, you see it like when you're driving, like on the freeway, there'll be a sign that says like "Don't litter" or something like that. That's kind of like,
Yeah,
if you really think about it, isn't that kind of obvious, right? Like,
it
don't
is.
litter.
It is.
Like, well, no, duh, don't litter. That's like, it's objectively something wrong, right? Why do I have to be told not to litter? That should be self-explanatory, right? No one should be littering
Because
in the first place.
because I don't think so. They even expect that people will follow it.
No, they don't. They
Yeah.
think the sign is
Uh,
good enough. Yeah.
at the end, the people gonna do the opposite. The people, who are responsible for the clean streets or clean highways and so on, they can say like, hey, we've done everything what we could. Look at this. We actually posted those signs. It cost few $1 million. Didn't accomplish anything, but hey, we did our job, right? So they already know themselves, whoever is responsible for those signs, that it doesn't work. Again, there is one lack of integrity right there, because they
Right.
already know that.
Laziness.
Yeah, so there is a diligence, right? Or being sloth. They just don't
Yeah.
do what they're supposed to do. Instead of, giving an example themselves, they just put the signs everywhere. Paid by the taxpayers' money, of course. And at the end is that there is zero result. So anyhow, so going back to the social and communism and so on, right? I experienced, everybody was talking about integrity, but nobody was doing it. Because they were like, well, why would I do that? Why should I be honest? If I'm going to be honest, I'm going to tell the truth, something about the work, about our progress at my office or at this particular job site, I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to put the truth on the weekly results. I'm going to get fired, or I'm not going to get the extra money, or I'm not going to get a vacation I was applying for. So I'm going to be lying, or at least I'm going to embellish the truth. Or if I'm going to tell my wife, I was cheating on her a couple of days ago, well, she's going to divorce me, so I'm just going to keep lying. I'm not going to tell the truth. Or you can go on. If I'm going to tell my kids, tell them the truth that I don't know about things, what I'm doing. I'm just going to tell them what they're supposed to do, but I'm not going to do it myself. So anyhow, so eventually those societies, they started to fall apart.
Right.
Just knowing the moral standards, but not doing them, is not going to accomplish anything. actually it's going to make things even worse. So coming back to our country, you said that you ask, where do I see the lack of integrity? Well, you can see it everywhere.
Yeah.
You can see everywhere. We talked about already the pride, right? That is the biggest one. Pride is actually the first original sin. About Adam and Eve, the whole story.
Right, yeah.
That was about a pride. That was not about an apple. It was about a pride.
Because they wanted to become like God, or even become God, right? That's pride. They're thinking about themselves and what they could earn for themselves.
Exactly.
Rather than what was right.
Yeah. They wanted to be the gods. That pretty much summarized the whole thing. So, but the other ones.
Yeah, lust.
You
see how people they treat dating and marriage as just a way to get more lustful. They don't see, sexual activity as a form of reproduction. They see it as a form of enjoyment when it really shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's pretty much given. That's most of people, they know it.
Yeah.
Even people who practice it, but they say, well, it's so hard. It's so hard. I heard so many times people were appraised. Well, hey, look at this guy. He's man of integrity. He's such a hard worker. Such a hard worker. And he's kind of kind too at his work and so on. Well, all right. But he's cheating on his wife every week. And how that make that person man of integrity?
It doesn't.
Yeah. It does not at all. Or you got people like, let's say, for example, some leaders, right? Some of these organizations, right? But some leaders doesn't have to be a religious organization. It can be political organizations, can be some of these movements and so on. You got thousands everywhere, right? On both on left and right side. And they might going to be people, who are practicing chastity. They are good in their marriage, hard workers. But then when they get to the podium and start speaking, they screaming at the people, cursing and so on. Lack of patience, lack of kindness. So how these people can be people of integrity if one side they do something good, on the other side they fail certain things, completely fail, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, of course, I do understand, as I said before, I think it's we're not going to be able to accomplish everything, right? To the perfection. It's impossible. It's impossible. But we have to have to work very hard. Not just to do, I'm doing my best. It's got to be the progress. You have to see that, hey, I failed. Okay, good. I learned from this mistake. I get up on my feet. And I'm going to continue in my journey. Am I going to fail again? I'm not going to fail again the same thing, because hopefully I already learned from this mistake. Am I going to fail in different things? Right? But I cannot keep failing exactly the same thing over and over and over and over. And they say, well, okay, I'm getting up again. I'm just trying again. Well, all right, but you keep failing exactly the same thing, becoming pretty much, like like it's like failing and getting up on the same thing.
Right.
So obviously that you're not learning anything, right? So we definitely gotta work on ourselves. So back to again where I see it today. So pretty much from these 7 deadly sins, they make them almost to virtues. Envy, that's not bad actually nowadays. You can be angry at somebody or envious at somebody who is living better, and who has more money. You can hear it many times from a lot of movements on the left. Well, how come this person is so rich? How come he's so wealthy?
Right.
How come I don't make as much money as that person? Well, maybe because that person was studying pretty hard. Well, I don't care. I want to be on the same level. Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or
gluttony,
because
gluttony. Yeah,
it's my race. I should be there. Right.
yeah. Well, but
I'm
it doesn't
obligated.
really. It doesn't. It doesn't really just specifically on race issues.
Of course, but as an
Yeah.
example, right?
Spread out to everybody, not just to the particular race community in our country. Gluttony. Like, look at how many people are obese or even morbidly obese. I would say 2/3 of our country is obese,
Right. Or
right?
also
I mean,
suffering from an addiction, right?
yeah. And
Like
we got to the
alcohol
point that
or
now we even celebrate the obesity. Like,
yeah.
it's actually that's what I am. I'm supposed to be 250 pounds, even though I'm only 5'2". I supposed to be that. It's beautiful. They even make the magazines and web pages. They make special clothes for those people. We celebrate it. We celebrate the sin. Well, how we can be country of integrity when we celebrate the sin? Something so sinful, which is obesity. We cannot even say anymore that, hey, lady, you are overweight. Do something about it. But if you're going to say that, you can be, they're going to say, well, hey, this is hate speech. You committed
Yeah.
hate crime. You're going to be prosecuted for it. Well, wait a minute. I'm just telling the truth. I'm the person of integrity. No, you are the hateful person. How you can say something like that, right?
Right.
So, greed. Greed is, man, like, look at around. Like,
Yeah.
everybody's about the money nowadays. Like, why do you do your job? Do you really like it? You enjoy it? Yeah, well, I just want to make the money. I want to be rich. I want to enjoy my life. Yeah. Last we already talked about it. That's like never ending. Pride, we talked about as well. Sloth, right? Hey,
Laziness.
just
Yeah.
do 70%, 70,
Mm-hmm.
75%. Don't do 100%. Come on. You don't have to. And wrath, of course, the anger, pointing the finger at everybody else about because of my own mistakes. Yeah, you can see it all around. We become pretty much accustomed to be sinful people. We even as a country, we celebrate on sinfulness. So we are slowly killing ourselves.
We are. Yeah.
We will destroy ourselves. So like countries before, the socialist, communist countries, which they outside, they were talking about integrity, talking about these godly, heavenly virtues, how people should live, and nobody was doing it. And we got to the same point ourselves. We talk about all the time about virtues, about right things. You just turn on, any of these mainstream medias, and they're going to be talking about like how great, hey, let's talk about, this charity, how we're going to share and so on.
Yeah.
And you can hear it everywhere, right? Nobody's doing it. And that is very, very bad. We are lying to ourselves at this point. And that's going to slowly bring us down. Because really, morally, if one part saying something of our lives and one part of our lives is doing something completely different, how long is it going to work? Very long.
Yeah.
Not
No.
very long.
Not very long. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it's slowly falling apart nowadays. And it's depressing. It is really
It
depressing.
is. It is.
Yeah. So the only way is we gotta look at honestly in ourselves. That's the only way. Okay.
Yeah, we have gone over a little bit of time, but this was a really important topic to talk about because it is one of the probably most, I guess you could say, observable problems you can see in our society. So, but again, that is it for this week. In the next episode, we'll talk about parenting and its role in disciplining and guiding others to be better individuals. If you have any questions, feel free to send them to us, as we may answer them in a future episode. And we'd appreciate if you could all follow us on social media. And until next week, Thanks for listening. Take care, and God bless.
Godspeed.